So it is that time of year again. Well, I guess this is kind of a thing that hasn't happened in a couple of years because of COVID, but we are getting ready to leave for our European tour tomorrow. And I wanted to explain or talk about the decision that I made to take the Line 6 HX XL, the HX Stomp XL rather, over the Fractal FM9 and the Quad Cortex and even the Helix floor. So first, let me explain. We are an independent artist. Jessica Lynn is the artist I tour with and also my wife. We do everything on our own. She books everything on her own. We produce our own music. We book our own tours. She's the crazy person that puts all this together. Typically, we're traveling on our own. Usually me or my father-in-law are doing most of the driving, and we are loading up a van the old school way. So one of the main deciding factors in this decision is something that's going to be light, easy to travel with, and that's going to fit in the van somewhere. So size is definitely a higher up priority in the decision-making process, and I wanted to show you a little bit the setup that I have. So first, this is a Reunion Blues pedalboard bag that is pretty small. It is shorter than the Helix backpack, but it's a little bit fatter, but it's an easy shape compared to the suitcases that it's going to fit in the car pretty well. Here's what the inside looks like. And this top flap also opens up where I'm keeping my extra cables and my laptop and such. And here is the board that I finally decided on, the absolute final. I know in a previous video I had my Line 6 G50 wireless here, but powered, I didn't realize it had to be polarity reversed and 12 volt. So I had my 12 volt from the one spot, the adapter tied up into the XL. So I had to order another one that now I can power. This is a Shure QLX wireless system that I'm able to scan and use overseas, so I shouldn't have any problems. I was having some problems with the Line 6 G50 overseas. I would drop out depending on the venue, sometimes in the bigger festivals that we play, particularly the Grand Prix of truck racing that we play in Germany. I was having a lot of problems with my wireless there, so I'm going to go with the more high-end and expensive unit here. And I also have my XL. I also have my favorite overdrive pedal. This is the Nordland ODR C 30th anniversary white edition. This is serial number 1 that Kai was kind enough to offer me for a demo, but it's also my favorite overdrive. It's just awesome sounding. And everything is being powered off of the One Spot Pro. So this is the CS6, so it does have a good amount of current, but it's not a giant powerhouse, but it can power this board with no problem. And I also have my Klotz DI box on here. So this is my all-inclusive board that I could literally just drop on the floor, plug it in. Another big thing that's going to come into play later, this is an IEC that goes into here and it's dual voltage. So I have IECs for both Europe and the UK that I could just pop into here and my rig will work exactly as it does here. I won't have to worry about any power adapters or converters or any nonsense that's going to just kind of annoy me or slow things down. And this is all on a Creation Music Aero board. So these are lightweight aluminum. I could have gotten the risers for this and probably put the one spot and the wireless underneath, but I just did not get around to it. And the main thing with this rig is that it has to have my wireless, my DI, and my power all in one lightweight solution. So the HX XL is definitely the best choice for that. And that is kind of the main reason why I chose this setup over the FM9, which I do absolutely love. I've got a bunch of FM9 content on the channel, but this is a much more heavy and robust unit. I could have done the 2 guitar rig through this, where Jessica and I's guitar rigs are both going through this, and I could have controlled her with all of my scenes, but this doesn't travel very friendly for the way that we travel. This whole thing, this board as itself, weighs more than that entire board that has the wireless on it. So I have a wireless and an external pedal on there and the power supply that's doing everything in one, and that's still lighter than this. Also, this doesn't fit in that Reunion Blues bag. I would need one size up in the Reunion Blues bag to fit this, but really no complaints about the FM9. I do love this thing. I love that it's smaller than the Helix floor, but I do think that as far as tonally goes, I've been touring with a matchless sound. So I have a real matchless DC30 behind me, and if I'm being totally honest, I prefer the matchless sounds in the HX Stomp over the FM9. That's not true for all amps, but for the matchless in particular, I have my Tonex pedal. I have the real amp going through load boxes. I've done it all comparatively with my real Samson era DC30 matchless. So far the Line 6 comes the closest in my opinion, and that's another big factor in why I chose that over the matchless in the FM9. I'm sticking with one preset and basically using the Stomps as a pedal board, so that is why I am not taking the FM9. You can also find the preset that I'm going to be gigging with in the description below. I have it up for sale on my website for like $5. So if you want to trade me a cup of coffee for the preset that I'm going to be using on tour, you can check that out at the link below. And I'll also have links to all the other gear that's coming with me on tour if you want to check it out. And now you might be asking yourself, am I crazy for not taking the Quad Cortex from Nordland NDSP? Because I could take my basement captures, I could take my matchless capture, my Soldano captures, and I can put it all in one lightweight, easy to use box. But there's always a but. I am just not yet confident in traveling and touring with this. The power supply definitely scares me. It's just a small, thin barrel plug. I might be able to power it with the one spot, but I think it would eat up all of the current, and I don't know if it would run properly. I know a lot of people try to run their Quad Cortexes on external power and run into issues, and I just don't even want to find out if there will be issues, because with my luck, it'll work great at home, and then I'll get to a big festival stage, and that's when it'll decide to crap out, and with my luck, that's exactly how things would go down. Another reason is with the wireless for me is a priority, because our show is pretty dependent on me being wireless, and I need one that's going to be a top of the line, actually reliable, consistent wireless, because I can't be having dropouts on stage. And the Quad Cortex doesn't fit on here. So just the shape of it would knock out the wireless, and you compare it to the HXXL. The length is a little bit longer on the XL, but the height would be a problem. And also to plug things into the Quad Cortex, I'd have to move the power. And like I said, if I was able to put the one spot underneath or the wireless underneath, if I bought the risers, which I just didn't get around to doing, this might be a good option, but powering it is a problem. I also reached out to Neural. I mean, I paid full price for this from Sweetwater, but I did reach out to Neural about my concerns taking it on the road, power supplies overseas, and I didn't get answered. So I would basically just asked what I can do to get a backup unit and what I can do for power overseas, if I could get a couple of power supplies that are UK and Europe plugs, and I just didn't get an answer. And this is a contact that I've had there, their artist relations guy that I have spoken to before. So that kind of also was just like, really, man, you can't answer an email? And I don't want this to seem, I don't want that to come off like I'm some big shot that people need to answer my emails, but it is definitely something to consider when you're at a level of touring where you really need something to be reliable. Having a connection with the company or having somebody at the company that is going to be willing to help you if, God forbid, something goes down, that level of customer service and customer support really does go a long way. And I do think that Line 6 is kind of unmatched in that area. That is a pretty big factor of why I'm not taking this. It doesn't fit, and I'm not quite sure about the power situation, and I don't want to take any chances on power. And now, basically, one really big point of both of these here, and this is definitely a personal thing. I've been using my Helix since 2017, and I've been very active in the forums, active in the community, and I do have relationships over there where if something were to go wrong, I have some help, at least if like something went down or something broke, that I can either get a replacement or a lead on a replacement pretty quickly, and that's pretty reassuring when you're dependent on these all-in-one rigs instead of, you know, bring a pedal board, pedal goes down, you can just buy a new pedal, you still have a backline amp. Some places I don't have backline, so I'm really dependent on the all-in-one solution. And if, for example, the FM9 goes down, there's a waiting list to get a new one. I can't just get a new one shipped overseas, and I don't have any friendships or connections there. Nobody at Fractal has ever been in contact with me before, so that is a big deterrent for taking this on a trip to Europe, purely because if something were to happen to it, I'm basically shit out of luck and I can't do anything about it other than order another one. You can't just go buy an FM9 in the store which is definitely a concern when you're overseas. And the same thing with the Quad Cortex. I don't know what the availability is like over there. It's really important for me to make sure that I have something solid, backups, and that I'm able to, we're still going to be able to run the show if God forbid something happens. So I don't have any backup power for this, and I also don't know what the availability will be like for this when I'm overseas. I don't know if I could just go on like Toman or something over there and just order one if it's going to be in stock and if I can get it to where we're going to be in time. Again, people there never responded, so don't have any connection to Neural over there. And to compare the availability situation, I could probably go into any guitar store. If God forbid I say, hey, I need a backup, or my Helix, my HX Stomp went down, I need something else. If, say, there was nobody at line 6 that would answer me and I was stuck with no pedals and I was just stuck with no all-in-one solution, I could probably go to any guitar store and find a line 6 product, find a Helix, find an HX Stomp or something to get me through. So I'm fully confident that line 6 is probably in the most stores compared to the others, and that's absolutely a factor when you're considering these all-in-one amp solutions, these all-in-one gigging solutions. Being able to access a new one is quite important just in case something goes down. And again, line 6 just takes the cake there because they're the most readily available around the world. And finally, just another thing on tone. I don't know if it's just that I'm the most comfortable on the Helix stuff, but I don't think that there's that much of a difference sonically when you really know what you're doing with all three. I'll go to bat with this any day that all three of these can sound as good or as bad as you, the user, can make them sound. And I can't overemphasize that enough because, you see people fight about which one's better, which one sounds best. It's complete user use case. There could be another gig in a couple of months where I say, hey, the Quad Cortex would be perfect for this, or another gig where the FM9 would be perfect for this. It's really just user dependent and what you need for your particular situation. And in the case of this European tour, we're going to be doing 27 shows over 60 days, 6 countries all across Europe and the UK. And the HX Stomp XL pedalboard that I built happens to be the best solution for what I need on this particular tour. So if you have any questions, problems, concerns, or other with the setup here, leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And if you want to check out any of our dates, there's a link to the shows below. It's jessicalynmusic.org/shows, and you can come see us on the road. Come say hi, let's have a beer, let's have a coffee, let's hang out. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.